Welcome one and all to Last Stop Penn Station podcast featuring Cary Silkin and Ian Riccoboni. They dive deep into Cary's wealth of stories, and no subject is off limits. From the world of wrestling to his ticket agency, growing up in New Jersey, drug-fueled underground days, hustling in the French Quarter of New Orleans, and endless days and nights in New York City, every story is worth telling.
Hello, everybody. It is Glory by Honor weekend. Not to be confused with anything else that starts with Glory. Ian Riccoboni here.
Like the new invention you came up with.
No, I didn't. What you said.
Ian came over here tonight.
And we're talking about the increase in masks again.
Yes. And he had a brilliant idea.
This was you. This genius is yours.
The glory hole mask.
Oh, my goodness.
This way you can eat and drink and have the mask.
Oh, but let's give some context to this. Yeah, let's see. Isn't it a little absurd that and I'm all for the mask, so I don't want anybody to get this misconstrued. I'm for the vaccine, the mask. But isn't it a little absurd that if you have a soda in your hand, you can just let the mask go?
I agree.
Who came up with that rule?
I agree, but that's what's going on.
Yeah, I'm for the mask. I just looked at the Lehigh County stats before we got going here, and the cases are going back down again, thankfully. It's a sample size of about 5 days, but they've been decreasing, so fingers are crossed because they were just going up again. So the vaccines are going up too. We're in Pennsylvania, we're almost at 70% of the entire population with one dose, which is exciting. We have 80% of all adults with at least one dose.
What's the leading state?
Well, Pennsylvania's coming up strong. Close. We're close. Vermont, I believe, had the best rollout.
Okay.
Which is interesting because they have a conservative governor. And you wouldn't think that, the conservative side seems to be against masks a little bit more. They say the individual freedom, but yeah, they're number one right now as far as I know. Massachusetts is pretty close as well.
Well, speaking of conservative governors, did you see the governor of Texas?
Oh my goodness, did I ever? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not happy about anyone getting sick or infected. He tested positive, but he's another one of these non-masker guys.
Yeah, he'll let lets God take the wheel, I think is the expression, right?
Yeah, it's some crazy times going on here in the hot summer sizzler.
Yeah.
I'm looking now at your beautiful hairdo.
Oh my, yeah. So the folks at home can't see it. We're recording this on a Tuesday. Tuesday is my toughest day. I wake up and Sarah helps me get the kids ready, but she's up the door at 7:30. So I have the kids for about an hour and a half and take them into daycare. And I drop them off and I have meeting and turn around at 2:45, go pick them up. Not the Gary U.S. Bonds 2:45, but the 2:45 to pick them up at daycare. And so I haven't showered today, put on some deodorant. I didn't eat. Carrie fed me when I came over. I literally forgot to eat today.
Yeah, you were busy. Yeah. Well, you got a beautiful roast beef sandwich.
It reminded me of some of the sandwiches you could find at the Great Allentown Fair, which...
Right. I put a picture up of we've told all these stories before, but that's all right. But of the great picture of the smallest horse. Right. I guarantee you, if there's an Allentown Fair and maybe there's a Rochester Fair and then there's the Erie Fair and so on and there's probably 100 world's smallest horses ready for action.
There has to be. Yeah, because they're even with all these state fairs spread out, sometimes there's early in August, but if they're all going on within the general vicinity, there's probably 12 touring groups that make up all these fairs or more.
Well, right. And there's no way that if there was really only one world's smallest horse, that it would be guaranteed to be in Allentown every year. These tours that have gone on And we've discussed them. If you're new to Last Stop Penn Station, go back, listen to we have almost 70 episodes.
Right.
Believe it? And there's some funny stories about some carnival attractions. Matter of fact, recently we spoke when we were talking about Atlantic City with the diving horse,
Right.
and the great Zamburu.
Right.
Went from human to ape right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And then at the Allentown Fair, they traditionally would have always have the little horse.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had, and you've seen this one, like these giant rats.
Yeah.
They claim they're from the Amazon. Also, the world's biggest horse I've seen.
Oh, I
Samson.
Wow, didn't he just pass away? No, I swear to God.
Maybe the actual biggest horse.
Like 3 weeks ago, I think Samson passed away.
I hope not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they have these tours. Once again, there has to be numerous repeats. Even the smallest lady,
right?
Tiny Tasha.
But I would think she's a attraction, though. I would think she's like Andre, where maybe she only comes in on a Tuesday in Allentown, drives to Rochester on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like I think because you can't.
No, I was first for years. It was not Miniature Minnie. There was another one. Gloria. Imagine this. I know her name, and then I can't think of what I had for dinner last night.
Right.
The great Gloria Rodin.
Oh, okay.
And she would come around to Allentown. Now, once again, there have to be a bunch of other smallest women at the other states.
Sure.
So when a couple years ago, before the pandemic, when I brought my godkids, Matthew and Jonathan, to the fair, and Tiny Tasha was there, so we went in and saw her, and I said, "Oh, what happened to Gloria Rodin?" And she says, "Oh, she retired." Oh, really? Yes. She went. Oh, yes. The other thing is, all the smallest ladies apparently are from Haiti.
Interesting.
And she says, "Oh, she went back to Haiti. She's done with show business."
There you go.
Right.
Good for her.
Yeah, good for her. And but
we're gonna have to look this up, because I have a feeling that with the world's smallest horse, you can dupe people more so. And by dupe, I just mean, hey, who's going to know the difference between 36 and 38 inches, right? But the world's smallest lady, I bet there's attractions where there's probably, there might be 100 world's smallest horses that you can have every day of the fair and 100 different places. But the world's smallest lady, I bet they pay trans. I bet they pay trans and appearance fees.
Maybe
because I seem to remember reading when we looked up the Siamese twins.
Oh, yes.
That they weren't there the whole duration. That they made it a point of it to say
that was like a blessed event.
Right.
I'll tell you another one of a kind that's not repeated. And unfortunately, it was. Now you want to Google a story. The Lobster Man.
Oh, the promoter from Maine who used to hang out with Bob Evans.
No.
Okay, because that's a real guy too.
Okay, there was a Lobster Man, and I went. So I saw him at the Meadowlands Fair.
Oh wow!
Like 25 years ago, and then I went back just like before I moved out here, and maybe 30 years ago. But I saw the Lobster Man, and I saw him a couple of years in a row. And so they had the big placards with, the classic. And AJ and I we finished up, much to our sadness, that it ended because it was so good, that Boardwalk Empire. Mm-hmm. And in Boardwalk Empire, which is the 20s and 30s, and it has some flashbacks to like turn of the century, they have those old carnival banners. that still are used today.
Yeah, those are the hand-painted ones, right? Okay.
Right. And the Lobster Man, and if this year's, we're going to have to, you and I, I'm going to have to drag you.
Hey, oh, you don't have to drag. I'm a willing participant.
Yeah. But anyway, the Lobster Man, back in the day, they had the giant banners, and of course they portray this man, and in the drawings, photos,
right?
In the big drawings, they have like as if they were like actual lobster claws. So
oh my goodness.
Naturally, I had to go see him. I mean, it was only like $1.
I was going to say how much. Yeah. Oh, that's a bargain.
He was no dummy.
They do photos? Polaroid? Okay. All right. I'm skipping ahead.
They wait to get 50. This is the Meadowlands Fair.
Yeah.
Right in the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
Outside Giant Stadium.
No way.
Yeah, it's huge. And so they get 50, 100 people. And there's a little rinky-dink curtain that spreads open, or else it's like crank. They turn a crank, and when it's lifted, I'm like, of course I got right up front. I'm like, there he is. And the guy, I don't know what his name is, but we'll get he as the thing cranked up, the guy's sitting on a pillow and he's smoking a cigarette. And the thing as it comes up, and when it's raised, being a Carnival fan, I knew to clap. which caused otherwise there would have been dead silence.
Oh, good for you.
So when I clapped, the other people laughed. And in between, I could see he's smoking a Camel or a Pall Mall, no filter.
Wow.
Heavy. And so when the applause came, he sort of nodded. Thank you. Thank you. He said, I am the lob. And he puts the ashtray.
You're making the live long and prosper Vulcan sign right now.
Right. Double style.
Double style. Okay.
And he says, wow, I am the lobster man. I am the only man in the world with authentic lobster hands and feet.
Huh.
And he says, I have 4 children, 3. He said, I have 4 children, 1 with regular old hands and feet, and 3 blessed with the authentic lobster hands and feet.
Oh, man.
For a mere 50 cents, or maybe it was $1, I will sign a picture. Step up, don't rush. And that was it. Well, he wound up, either he was murdered by one of his sons, one of the lobster kids.
Didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was murdered. If I would have done my homework better,
I think this was unanticipated. I don't think we planned to talk about the lobster.
I would have had his name, but that happened.
Wow.
And I'm sure our good friend Gary Juster, through knowing Chris Christ and Ward Hall, might have came across the Lobster Man.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, what an attraction.
Yeah. There's a real great podcast I listened to called New Jersey is the World, where they talk about weird stuff that's happened in New Jersey. They talk a lot about carnival attractions on that. So if you want more Lobster Man style talk, go over to our friend Chris Gethart's podcast, who had his show on True TV. He's been a big part of everything. Is
that anything associated? There's a weird...
Yes, he was the editor of that for about 10, 15 years.
Because he used to work for Mike G.
No way.
Yes.
Okay, Chris is a big TV star now.
The Aquarian.
Whoa.
Mike's had a lot of guys.
Wow.
That were Aquarian staff members.
Yeah.
One of them's Paul Gargano.
Yeah.
Who went on to do a bunch of rock and roll stuff on the West Coast. And weird New Jersey guy did weird Pennsylvania, weird this, weird that.
Yeah, Chris Gethard. Yeah, so he hopped on shortly after that started. And that's really where he got his calling card. He did public access TV, and then he became a quote unquote real TV star. And Colt has introduced me to him through the internet. I'm working on a lead for him. I got a story about Six Flags Great Adventure and what they used to do with the llamas after they had them in the safari that would blow your mind, but I don't want to say it now. But because I want to make sure the research.
Six Flags isn't going to do anything bad to the llamas.
No, but I kind of promised Chris I'd research it. Okay. So I kind of, because I had a great anonymous tip that found out I verified part of it. So there was an ECW wrestler that used to rescue the animals that got too old for the Six Flags safari. Okay. So, and he had a farm right off of Jackson there. So that's a nice teaser. Hopefully we'll be able to pull that through. I don't want to give any misinformation, but.
Well, it's a big weekend coming up for ROH. Well, when this podcast drops on Friday, as the kids say, at 10 a.m., and I know people are thousands and thousands of listeners are immediately going to it. If you're listening to this, there's still time to get down to the 2300. I still like to call it the ECW Arena. Yeah. On the corner of, Swanson and Ritter?
Swanson Ritter, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And for not just Friday, but Saturday night also.
Yeah. The Friday night tickets, the Saturday night tickets are almost sold out. So if you want to come Saturday, it might, it's probably not too late. Double check. Mm-hmm. But those are moving fast as of Tuesday. So those are almost
Saturday night's the cage match. Right?
Saturday night's the first cage match in 7 years in Ring of Honor. And the last one was Matt Taven versus Jay Lethal. Matt Taven's in this one. And
I hope we didn't throw the cage away.
Well, we were on a production call today. And I had the question. I said, is the cage going to fit in the 2300 arena with the renovations and the lighting rig, right? Because that lighting rig drops down about a good 6 feet, maybe 4 to 6 feet from the ceiling, and then from the floor to the ceiling. I'm scared for the lighting rig, or Vinny might be crazy enough. Vinny might climb up in the lighting rig and jump off it. Who knows?
Yeah, he might.
Yeah.
So it was that's Saturday, and there's a ton of good matches, which I'm sure you could talk about. And I know Friday night is Bandito's first title defense.
First title defense is going to be against Flip Gordon, who's been waiting a long time to cash in. And on top of that, the Briscoes versus the Righteous is on that night. Violence Unlimited is going to be in action. The Foundation, pure title match, Jonathan Gresham versus Rhett Titus on night one. There's going to be Chelsea Green's debut in Ring of Honor. It's going to be huge night. And there's a couple bouts also that, I think are real standout sleepers. Dalton Castle versus Danhausen on night 2.
I like that.
It should be phenomenal. And then
Shane's birthday today.
It is. Yeah. As we're recording this, happy birthday, Hausen to Danhausen. Do you think he counts in regular numbers, or does a person like him have a different set?
I think he counts in regular numbers. He's counting money. That's
right. Sure is. Yeah. He's struck oil with that. But it's going to be a great 2 nights. It's going to be on Honor Club if you can't be there live. So we hope you join us.
And I heard, here's some, we'll pull back the curtain here. I heard through the grapevine that these are not going to be the old 4 or 5 hour Ring of Honor shows.
These are going to be quick. Get in, get out.
I mean, as good as our wrestlers are, and we like to feature everyone.
That's a schlog.
I like a tight show.
Yeah.
I didn't always provide it back in my day.
Well, the Honor Club available time, what I've been told, is about 2.5 to 2 hours and 45 minutes. And there's a couple of reasons for that, right? I mean, last time we were in Philly, I think we were there for about 5 hours, to your point. And I think folks were like, this is good, but I'm tapping out. And I think to that point, a nice card, all the stars, you get to see everybody, you get to see the new women's division take life, take form. There's some blue chip athletes, Miranda Alizé, Trisha Dora, Roxy, Chelsea Green, Willow. They're going to be there. Sumi Sakai, Mandy Leon, Angelina Love, Max. They're going to be there too. So you're getting the best of everything. And as they used to say about Hess's, the department store around here, that was their slogan: get the best of everything at Hess's. You can get the best of everything at Ring of Honor. And these are going to be tight. I mean, this is
It's going to be hard to be tight with all these great matches.
Right.
All these people.
Yeah. And you know, there's guys that used
Who's
to be.
Jay Lethal?
Yeah, Jay Lethal. Yeah. He's in some multi-man matches with the Foundation. In night 1, he'll be in the corner of Jonathan Gresham in the pure match. Night 2, he'll be on the side of the Foundation against Violence Unlimited, or against Shane Taylor Promotions. Excuse me.
So I should know, as Ring of Honor ambassador, I should be up on this, but are the Briscoes in action?
They are.
Nights?
Yeah, night 1, they're taking on the Righteous, and night 2, they're taking on Flamita and Flip Gordon. Now, Flamita could end up in the world title picture if he wins the night before. And he's got a big matchup this weekend against Ray Orris on TV. But Flip Gordon could be the world champion by night 2. So, that could be a very interesting match for a number of reasons. Flamita might walk in the number 1 contender because of his match the night before, and Flip Gordon might be the new champ. So you might have the number 1 contender and the new champ on the same side taking on the Briscoes. Plus, Flip Gordon ripped off Flamita's mask a couple of months ago.
Yeah, disgraceful.
Right. So, I mean, that could reach a boiling point even without a championship involved.
Well, come if you can come join us Friday or Saturday in person.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
The air, it's like the old posters.
The air
conditioned comfort of the 2300 arena. And boy, it used to not be air conditioned comfort.
Even just as a couple of years ago. Yeah.
I got sick one time in ECW. It was so hot. It was like one of the hottest days recorded in Philly. Ooh. This was in the 90s. And I think I ate something that didn't agree with me. And you ever sweat? I'm not talking about workout sweat.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, you ever sweat where the sweat like just goes through your clothes completely? Like maybe you're at a concert or...
Oh, yeah. Live 8 in Philly in 2005.
Yeah. My wallet was like... it was terrible. And I got sick and I went in the bathroom and it was right like when Balls Mahoney and might have been like one of the Rottens brawling in the bathroom, and I'm puking on the toilet. Oh God!
Were you in your tank top? That nice tank top you had when you hugged Eddie Guerrero?
I might have been.
All right,
I might have been.
It's a good look. You should bring it back.
Well, I'll tell you what I will be bringing back: not wearing a sport coat.
Okay.
For this weekend.
Yeah.
I have, some nice shirts and it's the summertime.
It is.
Don't have to be ultra formal. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
If you're coming to the show, bring a mask.
Yes. Yeah. Just for those that might be wondering, Philadelphia has instituted essentially an either or, where you can either wear a mask or provide proof of vaccination or both. But buildings, they've decided have the right to choose who they serve based on vaccination status and whatnot. So if you're vaccinated, great. Bring a mask anyway. The CDC is recommending that. If you're not, please consider getting vaccinated and please bring a mask to Philadelphia for the safety of everybody involved.
Yeah, you should get vaccinated. I saw that. Oh, your beloved Phillies.
Yeah.
Were given earlier in the week or last week?
Last week when they were in the homestand.
Free vaccinations. And if you got one, you got 2 tickets for a game of your choice in the future and some kind of food voucher.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's a shame you have to be bribing the people to get vaccinated.
Hey, man, if the price is good enough, maybe I'll go get more. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey.
Get what's prescribed by your doctor, please.
We had a really good reaction. Having George Napolitano on the show. And
absolutely.
I spoke to him since we did the last podcast. He really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
He really enjoyed doing it. And he briefly, when we were done with the Zoom call, he briefly told us that, I do a bunch of these, but I don't see. And I was talking to Bushwhacker Luke, and Luke said to me, you should do it. He listened to it and Luke really liked it. He says, you should do another podcast with George, just about his time in the music business.
Oh, yeah.
And Luke told me a story that in George's, George was the house band at the Peppermint Lounge.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And had that record deal. And at one point when Billy Joel was first coming up, him and George's band had a spat about the equipment, or who was playing or who was not. So we need to. And George said to me, when I'm telling these stories, they just sort of, like, all right, the one that blew your mind,
right?
The Andre Studio 54,
right?
So at some point we'll have to bring George on. I'll have to give him some warning so he can, like Luke did. He had a little list.
Right. Perfect. Like we would have if we'd known about the Lobster Man. that was fun. Spontaneous lobster talk. Well, there's a lot of fun wrestling stuff happening. I connected with my good friend Excalibur this past weekend. We're working on a special project. I know he's across quote unquote enemy lines. But we're all friendly, and we're working on something with myself, Caprice, Tony Schiavone. That should be a lot of fun. Conrad Thompson, our friend, and that should be rolling out soon. But a lot of talk about somebody that might, former Ring of Honor star that might be showing up this weekend. If you go to our show on Friday night, you'll be home in time to see the alleged debut. But this weekend, we wanted to talk about two men that are currently in the WWE that you're very fond of, very friendly with, that had a big night in Montreal. So as we were talking about Tokyo, you said, I never told you the story about the events and the surrounding lead up to the Ring of Honor going to Montreal. So to give people context, 2008, and we're talking about Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, and El Generico. And we've talked about Ring of Honor going to England. We've talked about Ring of Honor going to Japan. We've never talked about Ring of Honor venturing into the Great White North.
Well, we had gone to Toronto previously, and we did very well in Toronto. So I don't know if we had been there once, twice. You have to ask like Jeff Schwartz. He would know. But so the thing was, let's try to put Toronto. Try to get a second show out of the deal. And Kevin and Remy at Steen and Generico, Steen and Sami Zayn were, they're from Montreal.
Yeah.
They grew up in the Montreal independent wrestling scene. And so it wasn't just because of them, but they had a big, because they knew a building that would fit us. The promises were, we're going to have overflow crowds, and they dying to have Ring of Honor in Montreal.
It sounds like me talking to Gary Jester about Ag Hall, but please continue.
Now, what was interesting, there's a lot of interesting things, but these shows, the preceding show to the Montreal-Toronto weekend, and that was the order of the shows, was the last show Gabe did.
Oh.
So
okay.
when Gabe was let go, which was in Edison, New Jersey, which was in like maybe 3 weeks before these shows, the next one was going to be, Gabe or not, was going to be Montreal, and then Toronto. Now we had that Ted Reeves place, and Sid,
which is like kind of like a junior hockey arena,
right?
Yeah.
But compared to where we wound up going, it was like the Montreal Forum.
I think we need to explain Ted Reeves a little bit better then, because Ted Reeves, we love the building and their hospitality, but the locker rooms are kind of dated.
Yeah, they are.
It's probably from the 30s, maybe 40s.
Maybe.
And to your point about air conditioning and things like that, if you go there on the wrong summer day, it is extremely hot despite it being an ice rink.
So,
but we love the Ted Reeves Arena. They treat us nice there.
Yeah, they treat you good.
Yeah.
So Sid went up to scout out buildings. Toronto's like New York City.
Right.
You can't get a good. It's expensive to be in the right building. So, plus we were going there when the hockey season was on.
Yeah, this is November. Yeah.
And these so people that don't understand, the Ted Reeves place is in a neighborhood of Toronto, probably, I don't know,
4 or 5 miles away.
I was going to say 5 miles away from the heart of Toronto, but it's in a neighborhood. It would be like you're in Queens, in like a neighborhood, and then there's a ice rink, and there's a number of these.
Yeah.
Well, they were all shut. Once October,
especially on a weekend.
Once the ice is down, they're not having any other events.
Right.
That's it. That's it. So Sid, who really he always tried his best. If nothing else, he was stuck, and he had to come back with a building. Now, eventually, we found that convention center in Manus.
Yeah, Massapequa.
Not Massapequa. That's Long Island.
Oh,
it's near the airport. Muskogee.
It's where Santino's from. I worked out at his gym.
Right.
Why can I remember this? Okay, yeah.
Well, before we discuss, and that was like the Jacob Javits Center of Toronto.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm jumping ahead. I'll get to the building. Like when did you ever?
I did Ted Reeve in the new Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
Well, the convention center was huge, and they would have like a giant sports card show. They would have a clothing, like
that place in Fort Lauderdale we ran where we had like an eighth of the building or 10th of the building.
But this was active. Like there was there was a garment convention, and there's this and that. But
like Charlotte, then when we go down, when they have the cheerleading show and the gun show,
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So, in a desperate attempt to find something, Sid ventured out to the what he told me was not that far from Toronto, the suburb of Markham, and so I just took his word that the building was good. Because he does, But he was, look, he had to get a building. He didn't want to spend too much money.
Yeah.
And the wrestling fans are going to,
they'll find you.
It's like Field of Dreams.
Right. If you build it, they will come.
Well,
did you think of this edit? You said Gabe was just dismissed or left, or we've never really talked about that. So however it happened, Gabe's no longer with Ring of Honor. That happens. You've said before that in around 2006, you had an idea that you weren't long for wrestling. So this is 2008. Are you really feeling like, oh, geez, this is... Did you feel it needed to be a success to keep going? Or did you feel like, I'm just running this thing out until I can wrap it up?
As we've talked about in a number of previous episodes, fortunately, the ticket business was good at the time. So, but at the same time, I'm shoveling thousands of dollars. It's like when I went to that convention in Hamburg, I saw the Nasty Boys.
Yeah, and God bless Brian Knobs. I hope he's doing well. But,
right.
Yeah.
And Brian Knobs said, Skaggs, the other one says to me, he goes, "You sold that Ring of Honor, right?" I go, "Yeah, man." I go, I'm the so-called ambassador. It's fine. They're doing good. He goes, you must have. He goes, "It's good. That's good." He goes, "You must have made a lot of money." Yeah. So this is the urban legend.
Yeah.
But I was feeling the pressure, of course. But this
wasn't a make or break moment.
It's always no, but sorry, Gabe, but getting rid of Gabe at that point was a big relief. He was as he was replaced by Adam Pearce, who almost turned out to be another Gabe.
Oh no!
Adam was all right, but it seems like Gabe light.
And describe before you describe your biggest issue with Gabe was essentially, why don't we use the guys here? You want to bring in this guy. It's running up a tab. Lack of he could have as good as his success was with working the shows out. There was website stuff, and he was doing things on his own time, and so it was time for a change. And it was really hard to find someone. Who am I going to get? Yeah.
So Adam Pearce seemed to be the right guy, and he was, and he, when I see him over the last few, years,
been a big
where we
success.
communicate, and he spoke to Mike G for the book. He always says, "Oh, Cary was the best. He was the best guy I ever worked for."
Yeah.
Like, sure, I didn't give you a lot of shit, but yeah. So Adam stepped up. To Adam's credit, he had to quit a full-time job.
Oh, wow.
He had, I believe, at the time, 2 kids.
Wow.
And he was living in San Diego. He had a full-time job as in the insurance business, white-collar job. And so to make this commitment was a big deal. But we worked it out, and he did it. And overall, although it'll be argued by various Ring of Honor critics and want to break everything down, that the Gabe's era was the golden era, and it just might have been. But we had some real good stuff with Adam and the HD Net era, and the elevation of Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, and Steen, and Generico, and the HD Net thing. And Ric Flair coming in, which we'll get to one day.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we certainly will.
Yeah, and so we, and Roderick Strong and the Briscoes being there.
Yeah,
we all tried. But anyway, to get to this Montreal thing, so we wanted to. Oh, I didn't even got to the
Toronto building. Yeah,
well, that's second.
All right, so Montreal's night one. How do you said Steen Generico promised the building?
They knew the building. It was a cheap ass building. This is the kind of building that was perfect for us. It was like. That real shithole in
that's always a great way to start.
Nashville. It's gone
the
now.
Fairgrounds.
Yeah, the old
asylum, the TNA asylum.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's perfect for wrestling, though.
Right.
It is perfect for wrestling.
Well, this was like a 4-H.
Okay.
Or a VFW, but it had a high enough ceiling.
Awesome.
And it wasn't too far out of Montreal. I came up to Montreal early to check out the delights of Montreal.
Yeah,
which is a great city.
Yeah, Carl gave me some tips when I went up for a bachelor party. I can't bring up on the air. But
St. Catherine Street.
Yes, we had a lot of great poutine. Wonderful beverages, craft beer up and down. Tim Hortons. That was my mistake. I was doing a Tim Hortons and then a craft beer and a Tim Hortons and a beer, and it got me all discombobulated. The caffeine and the beer and whoo.
Well, we did. There's a story about the Montreal thing I can't tell.
We do a Patreon of this.
Yeah, we do a Patreon edition. Oh man,
the X-rated.
It's a classic story that involved after the show that involved our good friends Double B and Fat Pants.
Oh.
But not all at once.
Oh, not at once. Okay, yeah, maybe we shouldn't tell that one there.
Well, we will one day. But I'll see Double B this weekend.
There you go.
But
we'll get it straight from the source.
Oh, it's a classic. It's just a classic.
I know that one. Oh God, we can't tell that one. I know that one.
Well, maybe we'll get Double B on the. This is Bobby Cruz, by the way. Double B. Maybe we'll get him on. As a guest one night.
Yeah. We can.
Hopefully he has a couple of, he's a Budweiser salesman.
There
Hopefully
you
he has
go.
a couple of beers and he'll loosen up. But anyway, so we're going to Montreal. Steen and Kevin and Remy, Steen and Generico, Steen and Sami Zayn, call them what you want. One of the guy, who the hell was it? There was not a Rougeau, but might have been. Somebody was doing the French broadcast of TNA.
Oh, okay.
So there was a dubbed broadcast.
Yeah.
And
Might have been the fellows we have a French Ring of Honor broadcast. It might be the fellows we have for that.
No, it was a former.
Okay.
It was a former worker.
Okay.
And it was
Right.
PCO will know who it is.
Ray Rougeau? Because he temporarily was out of WWE.
Might have been
PCO. Yeah, he wrestled for them around that time.
Well, anyway, we were told that, so here's TNA being broadcast, and Kevin Owens is telling me, yeah, because I see him, the night that I see him in Edison when the night that he didn't know Gabe was getting let go. Nobody knew. But and he's telling me, yeah, they're announcing on TNA show in French that Ring of Honor is coming on November 7th.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
November 7th, yeah.
I go, come on. How can they be in that? He goes, I go, he goes, Cary, they overdub it.
Yeah.
Cary, they overdub it. They don't
check it.
No one checked it. I go, it was hard to believe.
Yeah.
So, and then we shuffled off posters. There's a nice poster in my car, in my hallway there. So these guys put out posters, and Kevin and Generico, Sami Zayn knew everybody in town, and it was going to be a big success. But I was looking forward to it because it was the first night, and you got to understand, Ian. And I know what I'm going to say. You understand. A lot of these guys, Bryan Danielson, Nigel, Roddy, the Briscoes, so on and so forth, they liked Gabe.
Yeah.
They believed in Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know what was, so we had this meeting, and, the word was out immediately, but it was the first official time we were all together. And a lot of these guys were sort of upset that I let Gabe go, but guys like Nigel and Brian, who you could talk to, they were like our main, I said to them, like on the side, I'm like, look, man, it was very tough to deal with him and da-da-da-da-da. But, wrestlers are very
resilient?
They're resilient, but they're always paranoid, often paranoid, and worried about their spots. And here was a guy that sort of led them down the road to success, as good as a guy like Brian or Nigel or the Briscoes are. So they were concerned, but Adam was a good, was a good replacement. He was one of them, but he came across as an authority figure, tried to. And we did the Montreal show. There might have been 500 people, tops. And, Steen is telling me, oh, Cary, that's Montreal, it's a big walk-up town.
Oh.
It's always a big walk-up town. Like, when the advance sale was $420, there'll be like 300 people. There was like maybe 50 or 100 people, whatever. But we wanted to get that show under our belts, and Adam's in place. So it was a good show.
I was going to say, do you mind if we run through the card real quick? Yeah. So there's an opening match that did not make the DVD, or did as an extra. It's Stupefied, Dan Payson, Excess, and the Green Phantom. Stupefied won that match. You remember anything about Stupefied?
Not a thing.
Okay, yeah. Good underneath guy. I think he was from Canada. I think. Next match, Eric Stevens against Eddie Edwards. Now, Eddie Edwards at this time had quite the entourage. It was Bobby Dempsey, Davey Richards, Shane Hagedorn, and Sweet and Sour Larry Sweeney.
I don't know if... See, this is where it's bad. I don't know if Sweeney was at that show.
Okay.
I don't remember, but go ahead. I don't think he was.
It's interesting because it says the next night he's not there.
Yeah,
he must not have made that one. Did you know right away with a guy like Eddie Edwards that he'd be a champion, or that?
No.
Did you have an inkling? Okay,
a little, because Bobby and Todd knew him from New England,
right?
And it was it was very gradual. All these guys, I remember, when Delirious and Roderick Strong and Matt Seidel came in for one of these proving ground matches.
Yeah.
It's hard to have, immediate, you could sort of tell. And I remember Steen too.
Yeah.
He was like an internet darling, but
Right.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Not for my taste in wrestling. But he changed along the way and he got better. And so did Eddie Edwards.
Yeah. And even Eric Stevens. I mean, he was a guy that would end up with some world title matches, some title programs. So the Briscoes versus Kenny King and Kenny Omega, who I believe were part of a trio at that time. But the guy that's not so great, so we won't mention his name. And thankfully he's not on this show. But Jay Briscoe and Mark Briscoe winners there. Jerry Lynn versus Delirious. Now, Jerry Lynn had just started to come back around. Is that right? Around this time? Because he'd win the title in April at WrestleMania weekend. Superstar weekend.
We had done, Jerry was coming around when we did the Wrestler movie.
Yeah.
Right after that. Yeah.
Makes sense. Davey Richards versus Roddy. Now, Davey wins here. That's a pretty big win early for Davey. Austin Aries and Bryan Danielson versus Jimmy Jacobs and Tyler Black. So, I mean, within a year, Tyler Black has started in the main event and continues. And this isn't the main event, but he's pretty close. And then in the main event, Nigel. So this is where I'm getting a chuckle. At least they had the cojones to put themselves kind of in the marquee position. So it's Nigel, Go Shizaki, and Steen and Generico in a 4-way match for the title. Now, at least they put their money where their mouth was and said they're going to try and draw this. And
I can't remember a damn thing about any of these matches except one thing.
Okay.
At the very end of the night, the go home was something happened with Steen. And I forget exactly what the result. What was the result? It was
Nigel. It looks like Nigel up on Generico. But
all right. The show ended with Steen and Generico doing the go home speech, and in French. It was in English, and then the last words from Steen, which I can't quote because I don't know, was like he basically said in French, "And let's have a round of applause for this great faggot."
Oh, God.
And points to Generico. And Generico's like, yes.
Oh, yes. No.
Because Generico didn't understand anything.
Oh, no.
He spoke Spanish.
Oh.
So that was funny.
Oh, my goodness.
You could get away with, it just shows you how society has changed.
Yeah.
It was just, it wasn't meant to harm anyone.
Yeah.
It really
goodness. Yeah.
It really wasn't. And it was just a funny moment.
Oh, my goodness.
No one said a word and no one even thought about anything being bad.
Yeah.
It just, times have changed.
Yeah. It's like the great Beach Boys song. I just wasn't meant for these times.
I didn't know what he was saying. And when he got out of the ring, I go, what did you say? He goes, I just said, I told the crowd, I go, he's a big fruit. Or something like that. It wasn't like, vicious.
Oh my goodness. Well,
so we packed up.
Yeah. And this is a bit of a ride from Montreal to Toronto. About 4 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
And off we went to Markham.
Yeah, I was good. Not even Toronto.
Right.
Markham. How far out is Markham?
Well, the
Toronto?
only good thing about it was that it was about as you're coming from Montreal and here's Toronto, it was like here.
Okay.
Because it was, Sid embellished it, and it wasn't like 30 minutes away from Toronto. It was more like an hour.
Okay.
And we're on this country road. Me, Bobby, and Todd, and maybe there was a wrestler with us. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because of the goings on of the night before, it was just the three of us. So we're on this country road off the highway, and there's this fucking barn. I mean, a big barn. Like you would see a sign that might say, Rodeo on Saturday. Every other Saturday, rodeo. And the building was literally a barn, and it had hay.
Wow.
On the floor.
Nice.
wasn't nice. It wasn't nice.
Hey, I'm used to Ag Hall, so anything. This is now you're talking my speed.
So like the dressing room was like the stables. There were no horses there.
Oh wow!
But it was.
Oh, so this is the building you ran?
Yes.
I thought this. Excuse me. I thought you just stopped somewhere and had to take a leak or something.
No.
Okay. So you ran in a building with paper.
This is the Markham.
This is the Markham Fair. Yeah. Right. Wow. Okay.
Right.
I. By the way you were talking, I thought literally you were just driving.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You know where I should have explained it better. You know where they have the live animal attractions at the Allentown Fair?
Yeah, it's right by Ag Hall.
You can see the
hay bales.
Right.
Yeah.
That's picture that indoors and
my goodness.
We did the show.
Is this one on DVD? Yeah, this one's on DVD. Bound by Hate. Yeah.
And it didn't draw what we would have drawn in Toronto.
Yeah.
You don't have to read the card.
It's a pretty good one though. It's a pretty good one. In the dark match, the Super Smash Brothers, now part of the Dark Order on AEW, they defeated Ernie Osiris and Ninja Yellow. I don't remember Ninja Yellow at all, but I'll have to look him up. Davey defeats Jerry Lynn, so Davey's picking up some big wins. And for something like that, do you remember how quickly word got out? Because Ring of Honor was DVDs only, but I remember going on the message boards and seeing, okay, so-and-so won. And you get all excited. By the time the DVD came out, you kind of forgot what happened. And it was good because you got to, but did you, at the time, was there a strategy to emphasize stuff on the website before the DVD came out? Or did you want everything kind of dark until you get the DVD out the dark?
You couldn't have it dark.
Yeah.
You know, we were just, we were counting on the people to buy the damn DVDs. And it was right at the time when streaming was starting to be more, more of a
possible
force.
Yeah.
But we couldn't afford to get involved in that. And we had this disillusionment that the DVDs are just going to keep selling, which they did. They did pretty good. It was either you buy the DVD or you don't get to see it.
Yeah.
Except for those pay-per-views.
In 07.
That we did with Ken Gelman.
Yeah.
We need to have him on one day.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so the DVDs were still the so-called lifeblood. It was so hard to get the things mastered and recorded and edited and get them out. It was like an old wrestling magazine. It was like a 2-month turnaround.
People. I've had people ask, "Hey, why do you do the bubbles? Isn't it just the wrestlers? Can you test the?" No. In order to do what we do on TV and live pay-per-view, we have about 100 people. Who are doing the live switching, who are doing the lights, who are doing the music, who are doing. Everybody's got a different job. Everybody's got a different responsibility. The video boards, the video walls, the pyro. And if you're doing that all in post like you guys were, you probably had 2 cameras at the time?
3.
And you probably weren't live switching. You weren't live switching to tape. No. So, I mean, that requires you lining up.
There was no live switching. There was no live voiceover. It was all voiced over.
Yeah, walk us through that. So Lenny Leonard and Dave would fly up to Gabe's house before.
No, we would do it. We would the guy Sal.
Okay.
Another knucklehead. We'll do a podcast one time. You could ask Lenny Leonard about Sal.
Okay.
He did very well. Mm-hmm. So the DVDs were mastered in Florida at Sal's. Sal had the equipment.
Gotcha.
It's easy to think about this stuff and then say, I could have done better. We could have done it ourselves. But we didn't.
But often, you'd bring Lenny in with Dave and you'd bang 2-3 out at a time, right? Because Lenny was telling me he kept a day job the whole time and he would come in and do kind of overnights or almost overnights to get these things done.
We'll have to check with Lenny because there was some stuff. There was some stuff done in the office in Bristol.
Okay.
Eventually, we got rid of Sal.
Okay.
But at this time, Gabe was flying to Florida,
Yeah.
and Prazak was flying to Florida,
Okay.
and I think Lenny
lives there. Yeah.
lives there now.
Right.
But yeah, it was tough to
get him out the door.
yeah, it really was.
So a guy like Davey at the time, who you're giving some wins to, you might float something out there on your website, because Twitter is a thing, but not a thing.
Not a thing.
And YouTube, the video wires, and those are who made the video wires? Those are still popular.
There was this kid Eric.
Okay.
What the hell was his last name? Santa Maria, something like that.
Wow.
And yeah, he was a really good editor.
Cool.
And that was done in-house.
So I used to watch those. That's how I'd keep up. And those are usually a little bit more current than the DVD. So it's awesome. Yeah, I never knew that. So then we had Kenny King and Rhett Titus versus The Age of the Fall. Brody Lee and Delirious. Eric Stevens and Roddy Strong versus Eddie Edwards and Go Shizaki. That's an interesting team.
Right.
And there's a Noah connection there, I believe, too. Eddie would go on to Noah, and I think Go was there as well at one point. Dog collar match, Austin Aries versus Jimmy Jacobs. This is the match from this card that I know. This one got some publicity, got pictures and stuff in some of the magazines. And then a nice cool down match. Our good friend Grizzly Redwood taking on Alex Payne. I don't really remember Alex too much.
That's Justin.
Oh,
my old buddy Justin.
Okay.
Who he wrestled under Alex Payne, and he his name, if you look in 2007, 8, 9,
he got on a couple HDNet.
Yes,
matches,
and he also went to Japan.
Really?
For Noah brought him.
Awesome.
He was a good kid. So Noah was, Rue and Ken were like, "We'll bring a guy over to the dojo," and
awesome.
Justin got to go there.
It's very cool.
Lifetime experience.
Yeah, it's incredible. Then Danielson versus Omega and Tyler Black. That's a dream match. If you put that, it could main event a pay-per-view.
It was very good. We had good guys.
Necro Butcher versus Nigel McGuinness for the title. Hey, Necro, for fans that might be listening that only know Necro now for posting some of the more out there conspiracies on his Facebook page, Necro was a very popular wrestler, and it was not surprising to see him challenge for the title here.
Yeah, and he's an interesting guy.
Yeah. And then finally, the main event, Generico and Steen, who were the tag team champions at the time, defeat the Briscoes in one of their many classics. And they had quite a few.
You know what this show must have cost me?
I was thinking that it gave. Okay, real question. You were advertising these before you got there, right? So did Gabe had booked this card, and then maybe Adam Pearce comes in and touches up who he wants to win? And,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had to have some of these Canadian guys on it.
Yeah. Weird question with the TV thing. Nowadays, if you have any kind of Canadian presence for broadcast or whatnot, you have to have a certain percentage of Canadian people on it if you want to distribute it in Canada. Was that the same here?
No.
Okay. Because I know for Honor Club, that doesn't apply because it's streaming and this and that. But I know with television in Canada, you have to do that. So,
no.
Okay.
It was a free Wilbur.
So, yeah, I'm just looking at, just Eddie Edwards alone at one point has a 4-person entourage. So,
everything was a sweat job. Getting the trucks over the border.
Oh,
getting the Briscoes over the border. Getting me over the border, which eventually I got stopped going to Montreal.
Really? Okay, tell us more, please.
Did we go back to Montreal? We might have had a second. I
think so.
For punishment.
I think in 2009, yeah.
But it was so nice going to with all the amenities in Montreal.
By which you mean Tim Hortons and
right?
Yes.
Was it this trip? It's hard to remember. Anyway,
there was one where Steen defended the belt later, I think, in 2012.
Well, on one of these trips, they stopped. I think it was the second trip.
Okay.
I got stopped at the border going in.
Wow.
And I flew from Newark, boom, an hour, I'm there.
Yeah.
And I'm coming through the Canadian customs, and the lady asked me a simple question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been arrested, sir?
Yeah.
And I said, no. I said, arrested? Ooh, like the all-purpose cleaner.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, oh, no. And she's like, hold on. Now, this is 2008 or 9, and they had computers.
Right.
She comes back. She goes, did you forget about the 6 times? I go, but those were in the 70s and 80s. She goes, it doesn't. I go. She was a nice lady, and I felt like saying to her, like, honey.
Honey lamb.
Honey lamb. That was 20 years ago. The last time, I got caught with some weed or something. It was like 1988.
Yeah.
So, and here we are 20 years later, and it doesn't matter. Mm. Well, it's a big scam to get you to pay an entrance fee.
Oh, okay.
And I had to pay like $400 or $200 for a 4-day. She goes, where are you going? Mm-hmm. I go, I'm going to Montreal to hang out. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to tell you. You can't get you're on business.
Right.
And
well, now you can, but we'll get to that.
So she says, all right, look, you got to get this stuff cleared up. But there's good news. We'll let you in for 4 days. It's a mirror. It's a mirror. But we're going to keep that. You got to go back and listen to our Empire Industries episode. We're going to save you a small pail. We're going to keep it. She says we're going to keep the entrance fee same as last year's price, only $200. But you have to go get this stuff expunged. Right. I said, honey lamb, how do I do that? She goes, it's not hard. You go to a lawyer's going to charge you $500 and he'll get it wiped out. Well, that's not true. Mm. It depends. If you would have had one charge, right. But I had stuff going back to the 70s in New York City and stuff. You can't get any records.
Oh,
right. So when I did try to get it expunged, I couldn't. Mm. And so every time I would go back to Canada, they would recharge me. And we'll save that for next episode.
Sure.
Because it's a good, one time they almost, and Jim Cornette got turned to.
Right.
Jim will never go to Canada again.
There's a couple wrestlers. I don't want to blow up the spot, but if you look at Ring of Honor cards, you can see by omission who was not on some of these cards. If you look before and after the Canadian cards, and but it's interesting though. You mentioned Colt's. It hasn't been a secret with Colt, and the way we strategize for Ring of Honor, because now you can go over if you have a letter from the company. Wrestling is considered an art or a sport. It's both in Canada. So if you have a letter from the company you're working for, you can freely cross the border. So like you mentioned, the Briscoes and Colt and myself were all in the car. I guess because I'm the handler. But when we go across the border, they would all say, yes, we've done something. And Colt's very public. He mentioned that he had crossed the border without permission. He kind of snuck in and they zapped him on it. And that's kind of on his record.
Why would he do that?
That was years and years ago before the rule changed, before you could because if you're American, you can they welcome you in Canada. Or Canadian, you can't. It used to be both ways where you had to, I'm just here to visit and, test the odds. But before the rule had changed, he had gotten his wrist slapped. So that pops up on his record every time. So they figured put everybody who has the flag on the record in the car with me. We just hang out.
If you had like WWE kind of lawyers, or music industry lawyers, because all these bands,
right?
And their road crew, even if the band is squeaky clean, guys in the road crew, you can get this stuff expunged. You just got it's like just the right people to know.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about that next week.
Oh, it sounds good.
My other misadventures at the Canadian border.
Maybe I'll tell some of mine too about driving with some legal substances in Canada by passengers that are not legal in the United States.
Right.
The rapid consumption of them, and then what happened at Denny's later, where somebody tried to order.
That'll be good.
Yeah, food that wasn't on the menu.
All right.
So looking forward to that, and this is a fun one today. And I got a lot of more questions about Gabe and Adam Pearce, and I think we
got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get back to more Ring of Honor stuff. It's fun digging into the characters, but nice to swing back around to this.
And Gabe and Adam know that all their work was appreciated, and I'm on good. I think I'm on good terms with them, and they're both doing really well.
They both are, and they both reached out to me. I've never met either in person, but I've talked to them through direct messages and Twitter, and they've both been very good to me as well. And I think that's the Ring of Honor, the lineage. I think it's like if you go to college somewhere, if you're an alumni, you kind of stay in the network.
A lot of time has passed and people change. They grow up. The way they would act now, it doesn't fly. But we all make mistakes, and I made plenty.
And we're going to hear about them next week, right here on Last Stop Penn Station.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and we'll be coming back at you after this big weekend of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I think are we close to 100 reviews? Did we get 100? I think we got 100.
I haven't looked lately, but
okay,
that'd be nice.
Well, maybe if we get to 150, we'll coerce Bobby to tell his Montreal story.
Oh, all right.
maybe
for 100.
Maybe for 100. Yeah, we'll see how close we are to 100, and then if we're already at 100, we'll go to 150.
I doubt it.
All right.
You never know.
Well, thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed Last Stop Penn Station. For Cary, for AJ from Bisson Creative Web Design, I'm Ian Riccaboni. Happy wrestling, and we'll talk to you next week.
We hail you for listening to Last Stop Penn Station podcast. Rate, review, like, subscribe, and share on your favorite platform. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or at laststoppennstation.com.